At some point, every man notices something that doesn't make sense, but he ignores it. The moment attraction is strongest, nothing is being said, no explanations, no emotional processing, no clarity, just a charged silence, a look held half a second too long, a pause that feels heavier than any sentence. And then, later, when words finally arrive, attraction quietly disappears. That's not coincidence. That's the mechanism. Men are taught to believe attraction grows through communication, through talking things out, through saying the right thing at the right time. But if you pay attention to when women are most responsive, most alive, most pulled in, it's never during explanation. It's during tension, during moments that haven't been resolved yet. Moments where something is felt, but not spoken. This is why attraction often collapses after conversations meant to clear things up. Why long talks don't deepen desire, they drain it. Why the more you explain what you feel, the less she feels anything at all. You didn't lose attraction because you were wrong. You lost it because you released the charge too early. Words don't activate the nervous system. They organize it. They calm it. They close loops. And the female nervous system doesn't respond to closure the way men think it does. It responds to unresolved movement, to pressure without threat, to tension that hasn't been narrated into safety. Words explain. Tension activates. This video isn't here to tell you to be silent or manipulative. It's here to explain why attraction has nothing to do with saying the right thing and everything to do with what remains unsaid. Because once you understand why women respond to tension, not talking, you'll finally see why trying to explain attraction is exactly what kills it. Attraction doesn't begin where men are taught to look for it. It doesn't start in thought, meaning, or intention. It starts in the body. Before words register, before logic forms, before anything can be explained, attraction bypasses the mind entirely and lands directly in sensation. That's why it's so hard to control and so easy to kill. Desire is somatic. It's felt as tension in the chest, heat in the stomach, alertness in the nervous system, language, and on the other hand, is cognitive. It belongs to the part of the brain that organizes, categorizes, and resolves. These two systems don't activate at the same time. When one turns on, the other quiets down. And that's the mistake men make without realizing it. The moment you start explaining, the body relaxes. Talking soothes. It creates predictability. It reduces uncertainty. And uncertainty is where arousal lives. Words tell the nervous system there's nothing left to watch for. Nothing unresolved. Nothing moving. The charge drains out quietly. Not because the connection was weak, but because it was calmed into neutrality. This is why attraction fades after long conversations. Not because the words were wrong, but because words did their job too well. They organized the experience. They closed loops. They made things safe. And safety, while necessary for trust, lowers arousal. Arousal requires charge. It requires something unfinished, something that hasn't been placed neatly into meaning yet. You can feel this in real moments. The tension before a first kiss. The electricity in silence. The way eye contact feels heavier before anything is said. And then, notice what happens when everything is explained. Intentions clarified, emotions labeled, outcomes discussed. The body exhales, the nervous system settles, and what felt alive becomes calm. The more you explain, the calmer the nervous system becomes. Men often think calm equals connection, but calm is the absence of stimulation. Attraction needs movement. It needs unresolved energy. It needs space for sensation to exist without being narrated. This is why trying to talk attraction into existence never works. You're speaking to the wrong system. Once you understand that attraction is felt in the body, not the mind, everything changes. You stop trying to convince. You stop trying to clarify. You stop treating desire like a misunderstanding that can be solved with words. And you start recognizing that the fastest way to kill attraction isn't silence, it's explanation. Tension is the engine that keeps desire alive, and most men never realize they're draining it every time they rush toward resolution. Tension is not conflict. It's not anxiety. It's not emotional chaos. Tension is unresolved emotional charge, the space between impulse and outcome. And that space is where female desire breathes. When something hasn't settled yet, attention stays forward. The nervous system leans in instead of relaxing back. This is why attraction feels strongest before things are defined, before intentions are clarified, before everything is named and agreed upon. Once resolution arrives, the charge disappears. The body stops scanning. Desire goes quiet. There are specific forms of tension that reliably activate this response. Emotional unpredictability is one of them, not mood swings, but emotional self-containment. She doesn't fully know what you're feeling or thinking, and because of that, her attention stays engaged. Delayed gratification is another. Not rushing closeness, not collapsing distance too fast, letting anticipation build instead of cashing it out immediately. And then there's uncertainty, without threat, the most important one. She feels safe, but not settled. There's no danger, but there's also no closure. This combination is powerful because it activates dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical of pursuit and curiosity. It keeps the nervous system alert and oriented toward what's next. The moment things are resolved, dopamine drops, oxytocin rises, calm replaces charge. And while calm is good for bonding, it's lethal to desire if it arrives too early or too completely. This is why tension works where words fail. Words resolve. Tension delays resolution. Words explain what is. Tension keeps attention on what might be, and desire doesn't live in certainty. It lives in anticipation, in movement, in the unanswered. Men often misunderstand this and assume tension is something to eliminate. They rush to clarify. They fill silence. They explain feelings to reduce uncertainty. But every time they do that, they collapse the very structure that desire depends on. The nervous system doesn't feel pulled anymore. It feels finished. You can see this clearly in real interactions. The excitement before plans are confirmed. The spark before labels exist. The intensity before emotions are processed out loud. And then notice how quickly things flatten once everything is settled. Nothing went wrong. It just resolved. Desire lives in what hasn't resolved yet. Once you understand this, you stop trying to create tension and start realizing how often you've been killing it. You don't need to manufacture mystery or play games. You just need to stop rushing toward emotional closure. Let the charge breathe. Let anticipation exist. Because the moment everything is settled, desire has nowhere left to go. Mama. Words feel productive because they create movement in the mind, but attraction doesn't live there. Words clarify, they label, they resolve, and every time something is resolved, tension collapses. That's why good communication so often kills desire without anyone understanding why. The problem isn't honesty, it's timing. It's using language to close what should stay open. Resolution removes polarity, and polarity is what sustains desire. Polarity exists when there is distance, contrast, and unresolved charge between two people. The moment everything is named, agreed upon, and emotionally processed, that contrast disappears. What remains is understanding, and understanding is calm. Calm doesn't stimulate, it settles. This is where men sabotage attraction unintentionally. They feel tension and rush to explain it away. They sense distance and ask for clarity. They feel emotional uncertainty and try to process it in real time. Each of these actions feels mature, responsible, even loving, but mechanically, they do the same thing. They open the release valve. The pressure escapes. The nervous system relaxes. Desire goes quiet. Over-explaining feelings is one of the fastest ways this happens. When you narrate your internal state in detail, you remove mystery. There's nothing left to feel into because everything has been said. Asking for clarity does the same thing. It forces resolution before the charge has had time to build. Processing emotions in real time turns a lived experience into a discussion, and discussions live in the mind, not the body. Think about moments of strongest attraction. They rarely happen during long talks. They happen before words, in pauses, in looks held too long, in silence that feels loaded. The moment someone says, let's talk about what this means, the body exhales. The tension dissolves. What felt electric becomes manageable. And manageability is the enemy of desire. Every explanation is a release valve for tension. This doesn't mean communication is bad. It means communication has a cost. When used too early, too often, or too reactively, it neutralizes the very force that creates attraction. Men talk to create certainty. Women feel desire in uncertainty as long as it's safe. When you resolve everything immediately, you remove polarity before it has done its work. Once you understand this, you stop trying to fix attraction with words. You stop mistaking silence for failure. You realize that some things aren't meant to be explained in the moment they're meant to be felt. And the more you resist the urge to collapse tension with language, the more alive the dynamic stays without you saying a single extra word. Emotionally available has been sold to men as a virtue that automatically creates attraction. Be open, be accessible, be easy to reach, be emotionally present at all times. And while those traits sound healthy, they're often misunderstood at the level where attraction actually forms. Availability does not equal stimulation. In fact, over-availability is one of the fastest ways to shut desire down. When a man is always emotionally accessible, he becomes predictable. His reactions are known. His presence is guaranteed. His emotional state is easy to read and easy to reach. And predictability signals safety to the nervous system. Safety is calming. Calming lowers arousal. The system relaxes, and when it relaxes too much, desire goes offline. This is the distinction men rarely make. Emotional availability is about access. Stimulation is about resistance. Resistance doesn't mean coldness or withdrawal. It means your emotional center isn't instantly available on demand. There is space between stimulus and response. There is direction that doesn't bend immediately to someone else's emotional shifts. That space is what creates charge. Over-availability removes that space. When you respond instantly, explain immediately, reassure quickly, and open fully without friction, there's nothing left for the nervous system to engage with. Everything is known, everything is settled, and settled systems don't feel desire, they feel calm. Calm feels good, but it doesn't pull attention forward. It doesn't create anticipation. It doesn't stimulate. This is why men who pride themselves on being emotionally open are often confused when attraction fades. They didn't do anything wrong. They simply made everything too accessible too soon. Emotional accessibility without structure becomes emotional flatness. There's no tension left to hold interest. The result is subtle but consistent. The nervous system relaxes. Engagement softens. Desire shuts down quietly, without drama. The dynamic becomes friendly, safe, and emotionally manageable, but no longer charged. And men mistake that shutdown for incompatibility, when it's actually over-resolution. What feels safe doesn't always feel stimulating. This doesn't mean emotional availability is bad. It means timing and containment matter. Emotional presence needs structure to remain attractive. Availability without resistance dissolves polarity, and polarity is what keeps desire alive. Once you understand this, you stop trying to be endlessly accessible. You stop offering emotional access on demand. You remain open, but not porous. Present, but not predictable. And that balance restores something words can't tension that feels safe, but not settled. This is where most men misunderstand the idea of tension and swing too far in the wrong direction. Tension is not anxiety. It's not emotional instability. It's not manipulation, mixed signals, or deliberate confusion. Those create threat, and threat shuts desire down just as fast as over-clarity does. The nervous system doesn't want chaos. It wants movement. It can trust. Healthy tension exists without danger. It's the feeling that something is unfolding, not falling apart. The body stays alert, but not defensive. Curious, but not anxious. This is the sweet spot where desire stays awake instead of collapsing into calm or spiking into stress. One form of this is calm unpredictability. Not erratic behavior, but emotional steadiness paired with non-obvious outcomes. She doesn't feel like she has to manage you, but she also can't fully predict you. Your mood doesn't swing with hers. Your interest doesn't spike or disappear based on reactions. That creates movement without threat. The nervous system stays engaged because it can't fully map what comes next, yet it feels safe enough to stay present. Another form is direction without explanation. You know where you're going with your time, your decisions, your life, but you don't narrate every step. You act first. You explain later, if at all. This isn't secrecy. It's containment. Explanation collapses tension because it resolves uncertainty. Direction preserves it because it creates forward motion without closure. Then there's presence without reassurance. You're there. You're attentive. But you're not constantly confirming, soothing, or stabilizing the emotional field. You don't rush to fix feelings. You don't panic when there's silence or distance. That restraint communicates something powerful to the nervous system. There's no emergency here, and without emergency, desire can breathe. This is why healthy tension feels different from emotional games. Games create instability. Healthy tension creates gravity. Games pull attention through anxiety. Healthy tension pulls it through anticipation. One exhausts, the other stimulates. The nervous system wants movement, not chaos. When men understand this, they stop trying to do tension. They stop manufacturing uncertainty or withholding communication artificially. Instead, they focus on staying regulated while allowing space to exist. They let moments unfold without rushing to resolve them. They trust that not everything needs to be explained immediately to be safe. And paradoxically, that trust is what makes tension feel safe enough to be exciting. Because when threat is removed and movement remains, desire has exactly what it needs to stay alive without anyone playing games, and without anyone losing themselves in the process. Men rarely destroy tension on purpose. They do it reflexively, driven by the same instinct that's supposed to protect connection. The moment uncertainty appears, they move to eliminate it. They talk more. They explain faster. They reach for reassurance, not because they're weak, but because they're trying to feel safe again. And that instinct is exactly what collapses attraction. Over-communicating is the first mistake. When a man feels a shift, less enthusiasm, slower replies, emotional distance, he increases output. More messages, longer explanations, deeper conversations. He believes volume will restore closeness, but mechanically, it does the opposite. Every extra word reduces uncertainty. Every explanation closes a loop. And when uncertainty disappears, anticipation dies with it. Seeking reassurance is the second leak. Questions like, "Are we okay?" or "Did something change?" feel honest, even vulnerable, but they reposition the dynamic. Instead of being felt, the man becomes someone asking for emotional stability. The nervous system reads that shift instantly. Desire doesn't grow when someone needs confirmation to remain grounded. It fades when the emotional frame is handed over. Then there's filling silence, the most common and least noticed sabotage. Silence creates space. Space creates tension. And tension creates movement. But silence also makes men uncomfortable. They rush to fill it with jokes, texts, clarifications, updates, anything to avoid the discomfort of not knowing. In doing so, they erase the very gap desire moves through. What could have grown quietly gets explained into stillness. All three mistakes share the same failure point. They remove uncertainty, they end anticipation, and they kill dopamine. Dopamine doesn't respond to answers, it responds to questions. To what's coming next, to what hasn't arrived yet. When everything is spoken, nothing is anticipated. This is why attraction often fades right after men handle things maturely. They didn't do anything wrong socially. They just did the wrong thing neurologically. They soothed when stimulation was needed. They stabilized when movement mattered more. Men talk to feel safe. Women feel desire when safety isn't the only signal. Once you see this, you stop treating silence as danger. You stop chasing reassurance. You stop over-explaining emotional shifts that haven't even settled yet. You let space exist without panicking. And in that space, tension survives. Not because you're withholding, but because you're no longer rushing to neutralize uncertainty for your own comfort. You remain present without filling every gap. And that restraint, quiet, grounded, unforced, is what keeps anticipation alive when words would have killed it. Applying this without playing games requires discipline, not strategy. Games are about manipulation. This is about restraint. You're not trying to manufacture tension or withhold information to get a reaction. You're learning to stop neutralizing every emotional charge the moment it appears. Tension doesn't need to be created. It already exists naturally. The mistake is killing it too early. The first principle is letting tension breathe. When something is felt, but not yet named, resist the urge to immediately explain it. Not everything needs to be processed in real time. Some moments need space to unfold before they're understood. When you rush to define what's happening, you turn a lived experience into a concept, and concepts don't stimulate the nervous system. The second principle is not resolving everything. Resolution feels mature, but timing matters. Closure too early flattens dynamics that needed time to build. This doesn't mean avoiding communication. It means delaying it until tension has done its work. Desire grows in anticipation, not in answers. When you let things remain open for a while, the nervous system stays engaged instead of settling into calm. Staying self-contained is the foundation underneath everything else. Your emotional center stays with you. You don't outsource stability to her reactions. You don't chase clarity to regulate your own discomfort. When you're self-contained, silence doesn't threaten you. Uncertainty doesn't push you into over-explaining. You can stay present without filling space. Practically, this looks simple but uncomfortable. You speak less, but you mean more. When you do speak, it carries weight because it's not constant. You act without narrating every intention, every feeling, every internal shift. Your actions lead, your words follow only when necessary, and you let silence work instead of treating it like a problem to solve. Silence isn't absence, it's space, and space is where anticipation forms. When you stop filling every gap, the nervous system has room to lean forward. Curiosity stays alive. Tension remains intact. You don't need to create tension. You need to stop killing it. Once you understand this, attraction stops feeling fragile. You're no longer trying to hold it together with words. You trust the dynamic enough to let it breathe. And that trust, quiet, grounded, unreactive, is what allows desire to stay awake without you playing any games at all. At the end of this, the shift isn't tactical, it's existential. Attraction doesn't respond to effort, intelligence, or explanation. It never did. Attraction isn't logical, it's physiological. And once you understand that, you stop trying to convince a nervous system with language it doesn't hear. Men are taught to solve problems by understanding them, to talk things through, to clarify intentions, to explain emotions until everything makes sense. That works in business. It works in conflict resolution. It fails completely in attraction, because attraction doesn't operate in meaning, it operates in sensation. The body doesn't want answers, it wants movement. This is why the final shift is not about saying the right thing. It's about containing yourself. Containment is what replaces convincing. Instead of pouring everything outward, your thoughts, your emotions, your explanation as you hold center. You let moments exist without rushing to define them. You allow tension to remain without panicking. And in doing so, you become grounded rather than reactive. When you stop convincing, you stop chasing alignment with words. You don't argue for attraction. You don't negotiate desire. You don't perform emotional clarity to earn engagement. You simply remain present, regulated, and intact while the dynamic unfolds. That containment changes everything because it keeps polarity alive without force. This is where most men finally feel relief. You're no longer responsible for filling silence, fixing tension, or stabilizing emotions that aren't yours. You let unresolved moments do what they're meant to do, generate movement. You understand that not everything needs closure to be healthy. Some things need space. Women aren't stimulated by what you say. They're stimulated by what remains unresolved when you stop explaining yourself. That unresolved space isn't confusion, it's charge. And charge is what keeps the nervous system awake, curious, and engaged. The man who understands this never competes with words again. He doesn't try to outcommunicate attraction. He doesn't drown tension in explanation. He trusts the dynamic enough to let it breathe. And because he's no longer leaking himself through constant narration, his presence carries weight. This isn't about being silent. It's about being contained. When you stop needing to explain everything to feel safe, attraction stops slipping through your fingers. You don't chase it. You don't force it. You allow it to exist on its own terms. And once you make that shift, attraction stops feeling fragile because it was never built on words in the first place.